Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's video, times only. The investment on top of today would be Ethereum ticket ETH. I know it's my second video that I'm posting again today. And with respect to Ethereum, as I'm recording us at 5:17 p.m. on the Eastern time, currently like $2,311, up about 1.46%. At first, I just want to apologize for posting a little bit later today. I was out the whole day basically. Ever since my first video, I just basically hopped out and took the train and went straight to the city to meet with a reporter that I've been working alongside with on cultivating the story around the fund that I'm currently working on, right? The Tinks Capital Venture Capital Fund, right? So I'm currently the managing partner on investing into underrepresented investors and underrepresented founders in the ecosystem right now. So I'm just using this as an opportunity to educate the reporter and see ways that I can potentially be helpful to them and how they can be helpful to me as we are cultivating this venture capital fund and obviously this ecosystem going forward on empowering people like yourself and people around the world to create value and obviously to sustain the equality it was driving for going forward, right? So going back to the topic of Ethereum, as I was coming back, reading the news, collectively, I would say we have a lot of positive news today. And these news are either foreshadow, some are current, and some are regurgitating kind of reinforcement news that just talk about what happened historically again. Just to name a few, right? One is coming from TechCrunch that came out about 3 hours ago. So with respect to one venture company called Tenderly, they recently raised a venture fund, $15.3 million to be more specific, to help Ethereum developers to ship decentralized apps faster. So obviously, with respect to the processing time and obviously the high cost fee, having investments into this value proposition can be extremely helpful into the long-term sustainability for Ethereum as we are further try to solve that problem with high gas fee costs and obviously with respect to just the processing time and some of the user interface problems that we've been cultivating that we can still improve on. And with this money we can absolutely improve upon that. So definitely great news, right? And then we got some other regurgitating news about like from Bazinga. If you invest $1,000 in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin 1 year ago, what would that be, right? So you could do the math by yourself depending on like what time frame you're talking about. And then some other news that we got would be another positive one, but this one is coming from Cointelegraph again, right? More of a grain of salt news. So they talk about Ethereum price point can potentially hit 14,000 if the March 2020 chart fractal holds. Okay, so this basically there was an analyst from Cointelegraph, and what they did is basically using historical trends, right? Based on the dip that we've had and then the consolidation and the next pump that we had, if we were to use the same frames of percentage, right, the same Fibonacci levels that we have pumped historically, what will be the next projection that will be upcoming, right? And based on the historical trends analysis that the person has done, they are predicting that we can potentially hit a north of $14,000 for Ethereum by this year, which is kind of comparable to my analysis of 9,800. So we'll take a look at the chart a little bit more to see what this person is talking about. He has a chart that we can actually study a little bit more, right? So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. All right, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticket ETH. I'm recording as of 5:21 p.m. on the Eastern time. Currently like the $2,308, up about 1.30%. As of today, we've been just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, right? We haven't really moved a lot. We just kind of trending away, which is a good thing. We are cooling off our RSI, and the MACD perspective, we're dragging on a little bit more to lean towards more of a normalized neutral level, right? So with respect to the media affectation that we got today, and in addition to the Amazon earnings call that we've had, I took a look at the filings for the earnings call for this quarter specifically. There isn't really anything specifically that raises the adjective of specifically cryptocurrencies. So obviously this is more of a foreshadow news, obviously stem from the job post that they've had for the Amazon product manager specifically to manage and lead that effort for cryptocurrencies adoptions going forward. So obviously in executive level they haven't really given us any confirmatory news on that front yet, but so I just want to listen to in the earnings call. It seems like they missed their earnings. They missed their target for revenue expectations per Wall Street because of the whole COVID situation, which kind of makes sense if you think about that logically, right? We are slowly recovering. So with respect to the supply and demand dynamics for Amazon, knowing the fact it is a very powerful e-commerce company that's highly user friendly and convenient with that 1 day shipping proposition that it sustains, that the lower demand because of the slow recovery of the economy, just it logically makes sense. And I think we missed because of Wall Street expectation and the optimism that we had that we're just going to be trending up and away forever, but that's not really the case in normalized type of cadence going forward, right? So I think today's dip was relatively foreseeable, and I think it was a logical dip. Do I see it's going to be a good buying opportunity? I can't speak on that because I haven't looked at the technical analysis at this moment. But going back to Ethereum, right? Let's go back to talk about with respect to that the 14K projection that this guy was talking about, right? So you can see that with respect to historically, right, we have obviously the oscillation, right, but the trend is still up and away, right? And every single time that RSI kind of go up all the way, we have to kind of cool down to deplete, right? Whatever goes up really fast comes down really fast, right? And right now, we had that depletion, that we've been enduring for quite some time now, and it seems like we kind of leap up and away. And we are kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, the 2,150, 2,250, and currently the 2,300 is not really a substantive level. So we need to kind of, cool down a little bit, which is something that you will see coming, right? Which is kind of matching this right now, right? And then you see some sideways fashion, and then eventually you are gonna see some surge, right? And the surge will be confirmatory, contingent on with respect to the MACD, right? The cross section that we'll be seeing on the golden cross, right? Which I will show you in a bit. That right now the RSI it is leaping up and away, but because of the 4, 5, 7 consecutive days of green pressure so far, it makes sense to cool down a little bit right now. So, but long term wise, I do agree with this analyst and this chart that he's showing here. Is 14,000 the right number? I think we could potentially get higher than that, but depending on what horizon you're talking about, I think 9,500 would be more likely based on just corporate adoption level, right? But for Fibonacci is like, or technical analysis is a different animal, right? We're looking at the supply and demand dynamics and the psychology behind the chart, not just purely based on quantitatively by basically reverse engineer the numbers to back out the numbers that we have at 9,800 based on my model, right? Which I'll go through that a little bit, later in the future to give you guys that more, quantitative, granular level of understanding how I got that number, right? Because that's a critical one, but it is kind of convoluted and it's hard to explain. So I'm still trying to figure out like what's the right way of explaining, because like Ghost has a lot of mechanisms in play within the model. So let's go back to the chart, right? So right now you can tell, right, the MACD is relatively stretched up, right? We are forming a cross section that should be leaping down, right? And RSI is pretty much highly overbought right now, right? We are leaning more of a bullish pressure for the last 8 days now, 7 days now, right? So the ideal move would be to let it cool down a little bit. And I do think the weekend should be a cooling down time, contingent on no positive news. And today's positive news was relatively, it's positive, but I think people has been buying already, and there's a lack of demand for the level that we at right now. So the sell-off is definitely more imminent than expected. So I do think that tomorrow, which is Friday again, right? The durations for the sell-off sometimes around like 3 p.m. Eastern time, all the way to like 5:30 p.m. on the Eastern time on Saturday, right? So its durates about close to about 24 hours, and then we should rebound subsequently on Sunday, ahead of the London fork debut on basically the August 4th, which is basically next Wednesday if I'm looking at the calendar on top of me right here. right? So I'll wait off a little bit. I would not be chasing the pump right now. I know it's hard to practice patience, and it's also kind of irritating when you're seeing the chart not moving much. Like, come on, like just let's just get somewhere already. But I get it. It is a play of emotions. I get it, but emotions never wins the game of logics, right? And when you're playing a game like crypto investing or stock investing, applying the right methodology, the right quantitative analysis is the way to invest, right? Not using your emotions because you feel like it. You never feel like or chasing the pump or feeling like you miss out or FOMOing. These are emotions that don't make any sense if you think about that, logically. There is no way for you to quantify emotions, right? There isn't, right? But there's a way for you to project that on the chart to understand the resistance levels. And again, the resistance levels are 2,250, the 2,150, and the $2,050 before the next pump up that we should be hitting all-time high by end of this year. All right, just to recap on numbers and technical analysis again, right? The risk level is incurring and is increasing at the same time. So I would suggest that we wait off a little bit until the weekend coming, right? Because of the typical safe haven effects from the weekend affectation that we've mentioned previously in basically all my videos so far. So I think ideally 2,250 would be the first level dollar cost average at. The level that we at right now is not sustainable based on just the chart was telling me right now. I think a more ideal level for me to further dollar cost average should build up to have 55 Ethereum going forward by this weekend will be 2,150 or even 2,050, which I ideally would want to be buying at, right? I'll probably buy like two, maybe three if we get there. In respect to the corporate adoption, 9,800, 20% corporate adoption, 4.4 times your money from here. And based on the analyst that is coming from Cointelegraph, they're expecting 30% corporate adoption, 6.5 times your money from here. I'm going to lean more toward a conservative side, but who knows, right? We don't know how corporate, companies are going to be projecting going forward and how they're going to be adopting. But with the trends that we're seeing right now, using historical trends to project out the future probability, that's the level that I have, conservatively speaking. That's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on the Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully, you guys had a great day and a great rest of the day as well. I know tomorrow's Friday, so we know what to look out for, and I hope that we have the right marching order going forward, the right strategy in place, so we're not surprised and we're not freaked out by the time we see some red pressure tomorrow, right? So hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available or try to be available. I am relatively busy all the time. And especially tomorrow, I'm actually going to be in the city the whole day, just in meetings. I have like basically 4 consecutive meetings back to back to back, all around like downtown and midtown area. So I'm gonna be running around in my polo shirt, try to stay cool, during summertime in New York. But really appreciate you and stay tuned for this. Come up. Take care. Bye.